Tonight, we have a rematch, essentially, between Alpha 1 and Team Mystic Academy. Will they be able to eliminate both Mystics from Xenon Gaming Series 4, brought to you by Campfire Gaming, or will Mystic beat them 2 times in a row? Blaze, how excited are you about this game matchup?
I'm actually really excited to see this because the last match that that Alpha One participated in was actually the match that eliminated the main roster of Mystic. So if they are able to beat the Mystic Academy roster tonight, they would have successfully dethroned Mystic as a whole. Not to mention, Alpha One does have some pretty awesome people on their squad tonight.
They really do. Some of those players have been really dominant so far in this season. It's just really impressive. But like last time they saw Mystic ACAD, they kind of got dominated 7-2, 7-3, I believe was the score lines on Villa and Theme, respectively. And so it's just a matter of can they do repeat that same magic they had against the main roster with the Academy, or is it just gonna be another trouncing by the Academy roster?
Well, you gotta give a little bit of credit to the Academy roster, though. They have been a formidable force within the T3 scene, having been in the shadow of that main roster up until more recently. Unfortunately, they won't let us call them the main roster just yet. They want to finish out the Xenon series as the Academy roster, but definitely a promotion that was well deserved by that team. But I am probably more excited to see where we're potentially going to be going tonight, as we should have our map bands on the board and ready to go.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Club Sky, Chalet, Border bands coming out with Oregon Villa as the first two picks, and then rounding our bands out with Cafe Bank and Theme as Decider. Very interesting to see Villa and Theme once more, considering that those were the two maps that they lost to Mystic last time.
But the tried and true Oregon is on the board. I feel like this has become kind of a staple map to go to in a best of three. You started on something comfortable and you ended on something potentially devastating to your opponents. But remember that decider, that is the pick that essentially Mystic pushed Alpha One into having to deal with. I know both teams are very good on that map. A lot of verticality, a lot of real utility dumps, utility usage played on that theme park map, but we're going to have to see how Oregon goes first. I know I'm expecting quite a bit of default things. Hopefully, we'll see a little, maybe cheeky action here or there. Lot of spawn peaks have been coming out from, the gameplay that we've seen so far this season on Oregon. But what is your prediction for map number one, Sirius?
See, Mystic ACAD, as we're still calling them, are 3-1, I believe, within Xenon Gaming, whereas Alpha 1 is 4-0. And they looked really good against the main roster the last time we saw them play. And so it's just a matter of, I think, can they stick to their same games plan as they saw against the main roster, which was just playing it more slowly, playing more aggressive when they really need to, but otherwise just trying to slow down the attack whenever they try to do anything. But this is a different roster. This isn't the same kind of game plan coming out from Mystic as we saw. There are two different teams. They may have the same general like ideas going into a game, but like with same I'm assuming coaching staff behind them, but otherwise it's just gonna be really a matter of can Mystic like thwart their defenses, or is this gonna be Alpha One doing the same magic again?
Yeah, and that's going to be the tried and true story that's going to be told here on Oregon, as we're going to go ahead and start getting these operator bans on the board. I would probably, honestly, we've seen a lot of Nook bans come out of just Mystic in general, so we may see that come out here. I will say also probably very possible that we may see a Flores come out as well, because Flores has been an absolute terrorist, but the Ying is going to be coming out a more basic and kind of meta formed ban.
Yeah, definitely not surprising to see her come off the board as she's just again super annoying. I just, but just we'll see what Alpha One choose to wrap it up with. And as you were mentioning, the Nook band coming off the board, just really good to see her coming off the board. Just really, honestly, kind of just expected nowadays. Not really too surprising, especially for Oregon, where she can kind of just sneak around everywhere. Is just really typical. But we are going to see them wrap it up with a Falcon band.
Yeah, Valkyrie being kind of one of the more typical operators you see across multiple maps as far as band goes. Those black eye cameras can be placed in virtually almost any position, and if you're not able to track them down, that is valuable intel that you are giving to your opponent. And then the Kaid band coming out, so the electric claws are officially out of play. However, don't forget that there is going to be the bandit on the board, and the bandit has the ability to stack his batteries now versus just lining them up against the wall. So, potential for some different styles of gameplay that we're going to be seeing with the bands that are on the board. But we are going to go ahead and start things off with MystiC Academy on the defense, moving down to everybody's favorite site, which is going to be Laundry Room and Supply Room.
Worth noting that both of these teams are playing with one sub tonight. Hectic is not here for Alpha 1, and then I forget who is missing for MystiC Academy, but Spider is now on the board as we do see him playing on that Wamai. And we do see Amir coming out on the board here. She's been an absolute terror on this map as she's just able to lock down certain things on this basement bomb site. It's just really hard to push anywhere if she's up on the board. It's just generally really, really annoying, and we're just gonna have to see how Alpha 1 choose to take this, because they do play a lot more slowly than some of these other teams who like to be more aggressive. So it's just going to be a matter of can they clear out those positions, because I think we saw them kind of struggle against that when MystiC Main brought it out.
Yeah, and that player that you were not too sure about on the side of MystiC Academy, that is going to be Neo. Neo being that absolute powerful force that has been playing on the team for almost, I want to say, 6 months now. Usually is the top fragger as well, so it'll be interesting to see Spider fill the shoes that have been left for him to fill. But we are going to go ahead and start seeing a very slow kind of split push here coming from the Alpha 1 team, something we've seen tried and true work for them and work pretty amazingly if you really want to go there, because they know that MystiC Academy has the ability to stretch as far and wide when it comes to their hold. So Anki obviously being up in that attic area, trying to prevent anybody from doing any type of top-down pushes. This is a very typical thing that we're going to see from MystiC Academy.
Just very, very slow attack coming out right now. Selrek usually kind of just going into that mass bunks area a lot faster than he normally does, but Anki was able to thwart him off just with that pseudo pressure coming out. Just not really able to take so much ground as fast as he probably would have liked, as Anki is being assisted by Big Guy up here in case someone does try to go for him. But Selrek is just kind of still working on the holes over by security and kitchen, just trying to pre-fire over into the attic area, but nothing's really happening so far on the attack right now. It's just really slow coming out here, just a real crawling pace right now. But we may see an engagement in just a second as he is moving over to the big tower area.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out just from previous gameplay that we've seen from Alpha 1, they do tend to wait almost until the last 30 seconds to really commit to any type of push. And that's providing that they don't have any aggressive attacks early in the round. What I mean by those aggressive attacks is, gunfights coming out really early, aggression being met with aggression, essentially. But we are going to see things start dwindling down as we are close to less than a minute here in the round. We do see Spider tried and true here on the Wamai, trying to get rid of his disc as quickly as he can so that way he can prevent any type of utility dumps on site. But it does look like we're going to have the first kill here on the board. Silly's going to go down at the hands of Big Guy. It's going to come down to mere seconds to see what Alpha 1's going to be doing.
That's the big fragger coming off the board for Alpha 1. Thanks to Big Guy, who just again not really looking to be pushing down immediately. They only have 30 seconds. It's just going really slowly for them right now. I'm just afraid that they just are not going to be able to clear out some of these key positions as far as Pillar goes, as we do see Big Guy picking up a second kill of the round and possibly third in just a second, but he gets shut down by Selrak. But Carrick gets the essential refrag, but Selrak is having to just rush into the bomb site. Lackey all alone on blue bunker, just getting smoked out and put on 1 HP. Unfortunately, just taking way too long to clear out those positions above and just left themselves with no time.
Yeah, time was 100% on our side there. It's something that we've seen this team do quite a bit this season of Xenon, is the fact that they kind of wait until, almost, like I said, those last like 30 seconds to really commit to anything. And that can really work against you when you're kind of doing things like that, because kind of like we'll do the basics here. Siege 101, the first minute you want to get in the building, the second minute you want to set up for execute, the third minute you want to execute. But it just seems like they're completely foregoing the setup for the execute and just using that full 3 minutes to essentially get into the building. But we're gonna have to see. Hopefully they get their act together. They figured it out here in round 2 that they can't keep doing that, as MystiC Academy did take that first round.
I'm just afraid of like their team coordination, which is typically really good coming out from Alpha 1, and I just wonder if that's playing a factor into how fast they usually take things. As again, Hectic is just kind of like a good like flex player slash entry for them. It's just not really gonna have your normal 5 is gonna really hinder your performance overall. It's usually I would do not doubt that Lackey is a good player, but just not having your normal 5th is going to play a factor in this game. So just going to be a matter of can they still adapt to things with them and just be a little bit faster. I think in this next round was going to be a big factor if they can win this.
Well, you gotta remember, MystiC Academy is a man down as well, probably one of their most powerful players on the team. Big Guy being, the equal to Neo, but Spider having to step in. We don't know how much these teams have had practice with these subs. We don't even really know if they know the strategies properly, but one could obviously hope, as we do see Lackey try to get a nice little cheeky potential little wall bang there onto somebody that may have been into games, but unfortunately unable to do so. But we are seeing almost a repetitive situation as before. Things are moving very slow, and we're moving so close to half of the round being, used up, and we only have one person in the building.
Yeah, but Kirk is looking to move his way up the laundry stairs as Spider gets the first kill onto that master balcony area, is able to get one but gets downed himself. It's all going to be coming down to Kirk if he can actually get somebody on those stairs. In just a moment here, Z's just still waiting patiently to possibly go for a C4 onto one of the master players or in that armory player of Silly. It's just really slow pace, but it's a lot faster than we saw before as the Kirk's C4 just gets wasted.
I feel like there's more thought going into what they're doing here. Since this is a more tertiary site, a site that everybody should know how to play. Because remember, Oregon is proving grounds for any team. If you don't know how to play Oregon, you don't know how to play Siege. So we are going to see Alpha 1 really think about this a little harder. They started getting a little bit more aggressive, but now it's almost like they stalled out. They're all just kind of standing in place, not quite sure if they're waiting for a certain call or if there's additional droning going on here. But there's a minute left, and a minute isn't a lot of time as Big Guy takes down Silly.
And the minute is not a whole lot of time, and like you said, they just seem to be stalling out and just trying to rotate around to apply pressure to other places, but it's just wasting so much time trying to do so. And so it's just going to have to be a forced push in from either master closet area or to trophy, as Memories is looking to apply some pressure from the big window, but if he's not able to spot anyone out or dies almost, that's going to be pressure gone.
Yeah, and this semi-turtle tactic's working absolutely perfectly for MystiC Academy. They have at least 4 players that Alpha has to worry about still, because these players are just knowing where to be and exactly what they need to hold. So once again, Kirk is going to take out Memories. Angel's going to attempt to get this plant down, but there's 4 players from MystiC Academy that they have to worry about. Plant does successfully go down. Bullets start ringing out as Cellrack does get down. Aim key, Dino coming in with the kill onto Kirk, but Scoob is ready to take out one of the players as Angel is all by his lonesome self watching over this diffuser, hoping that he doesn't get picked off. Luckily, he has his sights dead on that diffuser with 23 seconds here. Dino taking down Big Guy. Scoobert being the last one alive, having to be very, very strategic here. It does look like he's going to be able to potentially hold his life and get this plant off. Angel has little to no ability to get it done as he goes down, but not quite out. Scoobert is going to be able to go ahead and get this diffuser potentially off the board. And Alpha 1, surprisingly, takes the round because time happened to not be on MystiC Academy's side.
It just seemed like MystiC didn't have any clue that that plane was actually going down. Everyone was kind of just sitting back and far away from it. We saw 2 players down below. I thought they were going to go for a C4, but it just seemed they had no clue that thing was going down. And just good job from Alpha 1 to actually mount a really good comeback in that round. Something that was not really expected of them to be able to do that. It's just like you're down 2 players against a 4, like full bunker setup essentially from MystiC, and just like getting an off plant essentially just meant that MystiC had to all of a sudden surge back onto the bomb site, just realizing, oh wait, that plant went down. When did that happen? And now it's just essentially then gave him 1v1s at that point, just allowing Dino to actually get that final kill essentially, and then just able to waste some time from Scoobert and just not able to get that defuse down.
And that was a beautiful position that was held by Angel, just being able to peek right into that closet and hold that diffuser as tight as he did. But Scuba was able to almost successfully get that that diffuse of the bomb like off. Like he was almost able to get it done. It was a beautiful thing to watch. But we are actually going to a different site. Normally we do see teams kind of rotate between the two sites, the upstairs where you have the bunks as well as all the way downstairs. But we are going to see the teams opt to go, if I'm not mistaken, it's meeting a dining?
It's
I think we're actually...
It's kitchen dining here, yes.
Oh, I like this. I actually really like this because this isn't something we normally get to see too often. Normally, teams tend to go with the meeting situation, but oh my god, Spider. That was nasty. That was disrespectful.
That's just going to be the sledge off the board. That means a lot of the vertical pressure is going to be gone now. Thankfully, Memories and Lackey do still have breaching charges available to them if they want to go for that vertical pressure, but that is going to be one set of nades gone. I don't believe he was able to use any as Aimkey just hops out of the small tower window. That was a bit weird. Dino's able to shut down that aggression, but just another really slow round here as they're still looking to clear out some of these players up above. That's just going to be their first primary objective, clearing out some of these top 4 players as Dino and Lackey get some chills on the board.
Oh, this is a much faster version of Alpha 1 that we've seen thus far. Granted, we're only in round 3. A lot of things could change. But Scoobert's going to go ahead and take down Silly, making things ever so even. Still 3v2 situation here, and a little over half of the round gone. Lackey just looks like he really wants to kind of commit to his role here and just really hold these angles, but he's going to have to start pushing in and really start committing his weapon to making kills. Now, we do see MystiC Academy doing their best by going ahead and starting rotating back to site and creating that turtle-like environment that they've been so successful on. But Lackey, once again, he's trying to get these kills on the board, but taking some damage as he's doing it.
Scoober gets shut down by Memories as they're starting to pinch in towards the security hallway in Z as Memories almost gets his head taken off by Kirk, but does trade some bullets out that way. Lackey gets another kill onto him. Kirk is all alone in security, and they know where he is. He is unfortunately not aware of Memories' position exactly, and that's another round on the board for Alpha 1. Something that was a very, very bloody in that round, Nix.
Yeah, I really appreciate Alpha 1 kind of speeding things up that for that round. Granted, they did use most of their time wisely versus just kind of stalling out like we saw previously. So them being able to use the aggression that MystiC Academy could bring towards them a little bit more in their favor. They got those early kills, and then they obviously knew that MystiC was going to do that last minute kind of turtle strat, so they were able to get a little bit more aggressive and push towards them and really using the that turtle strategy against MystiC. But we are going to revisit the first site that we saw so far on Oregon tonight. We're going to go all the way back downstairs. Now, here's one thing Alpha 1 needs to do is they do not need to stall out here. Once they have the ground covered, they need to commit to it, and they need to just say, okay, we've got this, let's move forward. If they're not doing that, they're going to potentially fall victim like they did in round 1.
Yeah, they just cannot waste too much time on trying to clear these players up above, as that's kind of what killed them out last time, is just wasting too much time and just lost too many bodies in return. And so it's just going to be a matter of, can they keep up this pace of moving a bit faster about things and trying to do a better job, as realizing that MystiC is wanting to play that passive game, really wanting to make sure they stall them out on terms of time, using that 6-man, that father time essentially, just making sure, as we do see a bit of an adaptation coming out of Cellrec is going for a bit of a different take here, I think.
Yeah, I will say one of the big things here is they do know that MystiC Academy does tend to spread out more in the beginning. They tend to hold more ground. So Cellrec being able to kind of go into those little areas that we would normally not see an entry go into and just try to clear it early, very smart decision. But it does look like the player in question that we have to worry the most about, though, is going to be Big Guy. Big Guy hanging out in that kitchen area, that really beautiful area where he can rotate rotate. What's Spider doing? Oh, Spider doesn't even know there was a player on white. That is so unfortunate, because that would have been an easy GG kill right there. But yes, back to the big guy situation. He was in such a beautiful position that he could have easily flanked somebody and caught them completely off guard.
And he could do the same thing here as he's just kind of been droned out. He's just going to start falling back to site over towards Armory area. They still have not been able to clear him out. It's just now that he shot that drone, that's going to be intel off the board. Now they have no idea where he is exactly. He does seem to be aware that someone might be watching his main door flank. I think so. They're starting to try to pinch him out here, Blaze. It's going to be bloody here in just a second. They are able to take him out though, so that's just going to be more time wasted essentially. But can they get this done?
Ooh, you weren't kidding about the bloody situation. HP is flying all over the place right now as Lackey is going to go ahead and get down big guy, taking out the big guy on the side of MystiC Academy. Bodies are flying left and right. Kirk's going to get a kill onto Angel, refragging his teammate who went down right before him. But it looks like Memories is ready to wrap things up. It's going to take out Kirk. It looks like the smoke player is the only one left alive. Scuba hiding behind this mirror, hopefully doing the best that he can to delay and stall these players. But remember, 4 against 1 is an almost virtually impossible situation if you don't have correct intel. So he's going to have to wait for these players to start pushing him, and pushing him with bullets is what's going to happen as Alpha 1 takes the 3rd round in a row tonight.
It just seemed like MystiC was getting caught off in so many aggressive positions. We saw Aimkey trying to rat his way out of Armory there, and Big Guy trying to go for a big flank over through the attic, but they both got caught out. Essentially, they just shot drones and then just tried to evacuate from the area. It just didn't really work out because those cutoffs were there from Alpha 1. Something that we saw in their game against MystiC Main, essentially. Just the cutoffs are there. Once they get the idea that somebody's in a certain position, they're ready for them to fall back into their guns, essentially. And just MystiC have no answers right now other than that first round where they were able to slow down this Alpha 1 there, but now Alpha 1 has sped things up. They're not playing to the pace of MystiC right now. They're going on their own.
Now, here is 2 things that MystiC could have potentially done a little different here. One, I do feel like Big Guy did abandon that kitchen hold a little bit too soon. By him holding that, he had multiple ways to not only potentially do a devastating flank onto Alpha 1, but he was in a great position for intel, especially that sound intel that you can get. When you hear somebody pushing, you can easily call that out to your teammates. Whether you die or not, that is still critical intel because you know where they're pushing from. So if he would have just stayed for a couple more seconds, I think it would have benefited the team a little bit more. But the second thing is not feeding those ones. Whenever MystiC is kind of like down and out and things are getting stressed, they get a little too aggressive and they start feeding Alpha 1 those 1vx's, because Alpha, we've seen, tend to stick together. They tend to play very close to each other and are very good with as their refrags. But if MystiC were to just kind of take that same advice but play it on the field, I really think that they could kind of bring it back and really show Alpha 1 the team that they started playing in the first round.
It's just going to be a matter of can they actually coordinate with each other. We did mention that they do have Spider on the board. They're not normally their 5th, but he has been pretty good in this series as Aimkey is able to get the first kill onto Lackey. It's just going to be a matter of can they play off each other really well, and does seem that they're doing much more of that right now as Spider and Aimkey are just kind of playing off each other in this trophy position, making sure that nobody can properly push up and just clear them out super easily as Kirk is once again going for that main flank here, Blaze.
Yeah, no, honestly, Kirk has the perfect situation in his hands if he just plays it smartly. Now, I love seeing Spider here popping these Goyo canisters as well as having those beautiful Kiva barriers to protect him at the same time. With those Kiva barriers, you literally can reform and reshape any map to your essential liking. And that's what we're seeing MystiC Academy do here, because they realize that once this team, this Alpha 1 squad, starts pushing in, that they push in pretty aggressively. So by reshaping this situation, not only do you get those sound cues because you got to open those Kiva barriers, but at the same time, it slows them down, so it gives you more chances to really reposition yourself and save your life.
Inky is kind of caught in an awkward spot. They all know where he is, and Memories is able to take him down from a little bit of an off angle. As so many kills are coming out off the board for Alpha One. Something that was looking really good for them to start off with has also turned disastrous as they're now down to two people essentially. Kirk is able to get one nice kill, but instead of C4, as Kirk is having to do everything on site to make sure he gives Big Guy time to rotate back.
I'm gonna have a little dad joke here. Kirk the Merc is what we're seeing right now because he is murking just about every person that crosses his crosshairs. But he is ready to go to work. But be in mind, Big Guy's still on the board as well. Big Guy being one of those amazing players. But Caster's Curse will strike and Angel will take him out as we have 16 seconds here left in the round. Kirk being that last sole player, he is able to do this. There's only 2 players. Angel does go for the plant, starts living on the F key as one should, as a hard break. He's gonna go ahead and get this down, but oh, one poor placed bullet almost separated Kirk from demise, but he is going to able to take care of this diffuser and to get the second round in the favor of MystiC Academy tonight.
Are we just seeing the duplicate of this round right now? Because last time it was a Alpha 1 being down, then suddenly came back. And then now we're seeing MystiC looking good, then going down, then coming back. It's just like we're seeing the duplicate on that bomb site apparently, but like it just all they were looking good on that initial trophy hole, but then just suddenly just got a little bit too aggressive for their own positions and just like gave away free kills essentially, and just all of a sudden Alpha One almost surged back into that round, something that they were looking very struggling to try to clear out those positions. And just thankfully Kirk doing everything for his team there, as he was just able to get a 4K on the round, I believe, and just thank God he was able to do that, because I'm not sure if he was able to, like, if he missed one of those shots, it might not have gone that way.
He almost did, though. The moment he decided to peak games where that default plant was, that first bullet that went out did not connect. And if, I'm telling you, if Angel just would have clicked a little quicker, it could have been an Alpha round. That is how quickly these things can go right or go wrong for a team. But we are moving now into round 6, potentially going to see the perfect situation for Alpha One, maybe going into a 4-2 split. But this round is going to determine who has the comfort or who basically is going to make things quite even here. But I really love to see both of these teams really bring out different types of aggression out of each other, and really are starting to adapt and do what you should be doing as a Siege player, and figuring out what your opponent's going to do, and meeting that with a perfect counter.
Now, the roam game was looking pretty good, but then all of a sudden Alpha 1 was able to just kind of clear out this top floor position over in Kids and Bunks area. And just, we need to see MystiC Academy kind of play a little bit more together here, not let them get those free kills, essentially, as they're trying to fall back to site. It's just really, like, something we saw last round, just kind of them playing more together is kind of what got them into a good position to start off with, but they need to do that for the entire round. It cannot just be all of a sudden we go for these individualistic kills, as we saw Inky try to do over in the attic area. Memories almost nearly losing his life to someone over by meeting area, but that could have been disastrous.
Poor Memories, living on essentially less than 5 HP at this point. It's really cool to see actually somebody from Parabellum joining in. If I'm not mistaken, Memories is actually the graphic designer or video guy for Parabellum. So it's really cool to see, people from T1 join us and hang out. But Scoobert's going to go ahead and take down Silly. That is going to be a very, very quick player that was taken off the board, as Scoobert's not ready to make the same mistake as he's done in previous rounds and not be aware of any player in his vicinity. But I do see something a little odd here. Alpha 1 is tending to bunch up a little bit here, as we have 3 players. One of them being Angel, who attempted to get a plant down again, but gets killed through a beautiful pixel. Things are back and forth. Kirk is doing his mercenary work once again. Big Guy unfortunately takes out his teammate in the process with a C4. So it's 2v2, 55 seconds left here in the round. A lot happened in those seconds.
I don't even know what just happened. It was just all of a sudden the kills are coming off the board, and just all of a sudden several people are dead. And now it's a 2v2. Memories was able to get one kill on such low HP, but he was only one bullet away from death. As execute is gonna have to happen pretty soon. Selrek is either gonna need to regroup with his teammate, and they're just gonna have to push together to solo out some of these players. But they're grouping up here over by security.
Oh, 24 seconds. This is little to no time whatsoever. Selrak is going to get downed and it confirmed by Spider. Spider was ready to light things up as he did get the last player on the board from Alpha 1. So it is a 3-3 split, probably the situation that MystiC Academy wants to be in, as things are very even as we go into the side swap.
Definitely the place they wanted to end off with, as they did go down 3-1 pretty early on, but were able to come back in those last two rounds. Something that would, if they had lost even one more round on their defensive side, it would have looked really poorly. As this is typically a defensive sided map, so it's just not something you want to go down early on, especially going into your own attacks. So being able to get that 3-3 split is really good for MystiC here. Just can you get some of that same like momentum going into these next part of the round, as they start to look a lot better in terms of team coordination, but it's just can you completely do that again, as this is a different kind of game right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Sirius. Now, the big thing that we're going to have to see come out of MystiC Academy is we did see them play a little bit more passive on the defense by having those pseudo extended turtling strats is what I'm going to call it. Now, on the attacking side, we usually see certain players like Big Guy and Neo, who unfortunately isn't with us for this map. Those two usually are the ones that kind of go in and get their 1vx situations. So they're able to get those 3Ks, those 4Ks, and do it very consistently. But now all that pressure is essentially going to be on Big Guy's shoulders, even though you do have Spider, who's going to be coming in on entry as well. So there's a lot of potential for minor mistakes to happen, but I do feel like since the core is here and Spider is such a well-rounded and experienced player, I think MystiC does have a little bit of an edge on who has the better substitute tonight.
And just silly, normally the big fragger coming out from Alpha 1 just on 1 and 5 right now. That's just not really a good sign to see super early on, but he may be able to pick things up going into their own defensive side right now. It's just going to be a matter of, can they slow down MystiC here, as they're just looking to try to move in quickly, try to clear out some of these roamers down below, as Selrek is trying to make sure that Spider can't move into the kitchen area and just defend his teammates from down below. So it's just going to be like just a matter of, can you slow them down, as they'd have a lot of angles to make sure that nobody can walk into the kitchen right now, Blaze.
No, and honestly, I think that's where Alpha 1's going to shine here, is they're going to kind of meet MystiC Academy almost with their own game, because we see these extensions happening. We see these other players that are just sitting there and kind of turtling, holding these longer angles, just waiting for MystiC Academy to make a mistake. I will say Selrak, that is an angle that will hurt anybody's ego if you get killed off of it, because it's very hard to predict that little, what do you call it, vertical hole is made unless you're very thorough with a drone, and not everybody's going to sit there and look up when they're droning out. So we'll have to see exactly how MystiC plans to meet that. We do have a couple of the team members in the building, but there's not quite a idea of how they're going to be pushing this and planning for this execution.
Wall is open, and Spider has made his way all the way up to top white stairs, as it does look like Execute might start to be going out here really soon. I think Aimkey is just going to be looking to try to either group up with Spider here in just a second, as it looks like the diffuser is all the way on Master Balk here. They do have wall open, and a lot of the Alpha 1 players are kind of disruptive. They're kind of far away from this. Plant could go down, as Kirk does get the first kill onto Dino here.
Yeah, this is the same thing that we saw with the actual main MystiC Academy, well, the former one, as we did see things really go down to the last critical seconds. So 20 seconds here, we're finally starting to see kills on the board, and those kills are going in the favor of MystiC Academy. Angel being off the board, Silly off the board. Luckily, they still have people on the board, but Kirk and Spider, and Kirk once again comes out of nowhere and essentially gives the first flawless round that we have tonight. MystiC going one round ahead. This is obviously the first time they've been ahead since round 1.
It really is, and just a lot of good coordination there. Just they were all grouped up. They knew what they wanted to push there, and just it almost surged right into sight. It's just almost a 3, 2, 1 go situation, and just meant that all of Alpha One had to essentially swing onto them as they all the guns of Mystic were trained onto their positions. They just had nowhere to go. So that just meant Mystic had essentially free reign on this bomb site with only minimal actual control of it. And just really good round coming out from Mystic and Alpha One. You did slow them down pretty well, but that's not going to be enough if you need to get kills on the board.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree with you 100% there, Serious. You can slow a team down so much before you start
Attackers
having
need to
issues.
locate and defuse
Now,
as many
we are
bombs as they
looking
can.
like we're going to go ahead and go into a rehost here. Not quite sure exactly what the reason was behind it. I know we did see a little bit of a server lag earlier in the round, so or earlier in the match, so that could be why. But honestly, you can rehost for just about anything these days.
Yeah, it was hopefully it's for a legit reason, unfortunately, as we did seem to lose a player there. But just Mystic is looking a lot better than they did in the initial rounds, winning 4 rounds in a row now. It's or actually yes, no, 3 rounds I should say rather. But they just their team synergy looks a lot better. It seemed like they were a little shaky going into those first couple of rounds, just kind of trying to figure things out with a new sub on the board. But just Alpha 1 is kind of going through the same struggles, kind of just losing a couple of those rounds out, just in very close manner. But then also just in that last round, just not really able to hold their angles and not able to get a single kill.
And I mean, sometimes that's just how it works out. Sometimes you have good rounds, you have bad rounds. Hopefully, we don't see a team have a too bad of a night, because that's usually when things tend to fall apart. But a rehost can change things because remember, a rehost isn't just about getting a whole bunch of players back into a lobby and starting the game over. You get almost kind of like a timeout situation. You just can't talk to your coach, obviously, but you have that moment to where you can breathe, you can kind of relax for a second, really talk between the team, your team members, and just be like, hey, listen, okay, what can we do a little differently? Especially with the situation of Mystic having 2 rounds essentially back to back, where they have some momentum going. So a pseudo timeout could potentially stunt that.
It certainly could, as I don't believe Alpha One do have a coach, but that there it is going to give them an opportunity to talk to each other, try to figure out a game plan to try to repel this attack from coming out from Mystic here, as they just seem to have the kind of their number at least early on. So we're just going to have to see if that's just going to kill their momentum or if it's just going to Mystic is just going to start to run away with it. And we're still waiting on to get players back into the lobby, so we're just going to have to talk a little bit longer here. Bear with us,
I
but
mean, we know you don't want to see our faces and hear our voices. You want to see Siege gameplay. We know. We know. You don't have to tell us.
we know. We know. I want to play the game as much as you, even if it's Oregon.
uh, but serious, I heard you're bad at the game.
I am terrible. That's why I didn't go very far in my Siege comp career. I'm more of a casual player. I'm more of a big brain. I can't shoot back.
Hey, I'm right there with you. Big brain, there used to be this, you know how you've got your hard breach, your soft support, your 2 entries, all that good, and then your flex. There used to be room for a player. Basically, it was kind of like a flex intel where you'd send somebody out to, kind of go flank and get some information. That player doesn't exist anymore, so my siege career doesn't exist anymore either. So
Yeah,
I feel your
very
pain.
unfortunate. I can't sit on it. What do you mean I can't sit on a drone for the entire round and just let my fraggers get all the kills? Yeah, what do you mean I can't do that anymore?
Imagine if Flores would have existed back then. I would have been
I missed
terrified,
out on him by a season. I am
right?
so annoyed by that.
But yes, I am not quite sure exactly what's going on. I know we've pinged our production team to see if they have any information that they could give us, but unfortunately, nothing's come through. It looks like we may be waiting on 1 to 2 more players. But yeah, so other than obviously what we've seen so far, what at least from your point of view, Sirius, you're kind of like the stats guy. You're the analytical one between both of us. Who do you think we're gonna see possibly take Oregon?
Right now, it's looking like it's going to be going Mystic's favor, just like their coordination here and just like the general experience of that roster here is just looking like it's coming out on top and just showing that they're able to string some rounds together. And I think that's going to be what kind of puts them over the edge ever so slightly. But Alpha One is able to make something games close. We did see them go have a close series against Mystic Main on Bank last game we saw of them, but just can they do enough to do that, get that same momentum going? Or is it just gonna flutter out and just Mystic is gonna take it away with it and just move on over to Oregon or Villa, sorry.
Well, I will say though, if we do end up getting a map 3 tonight, I'd have to give, let's see, an entire series win potentially over to Mystic. And the reason why I'm doing that, obviously, I'm skipping over Villa and I'm not even considering the rest of Oregon at this point because Oregon can really go either way. We're seeing great back and forth. So we're seeing really good tactic returned by counter tactic. So it can really go anywhere. But when it comes to theme park, Mystic Academy specifically has really made that their map. They are one of the few teams that go to theme park time and time again, and it's really hard to predict what they're going to do, especially on attack. Even though we know everybody's going to attack on that balcony, but we see Mystic do it in a different sense than we do most. Like there's this weird aggression that they have, and it just kind of works.
They just look very adaptable. It's just like if they have a problem in one part of the map, they're able to quickly rotate over to a different part of the map and attack that pressure point rather than just kind of stalling out like a lot of other teams would. Just I think that really comes down to great IGLing experience coming out there on their end. So it's just going to be a matter of, well, again, can Alpha One really deal with it? Because I just we don't really haven't been able to see a whole lot of them. This is the first time I've ever really seen them in any sort of league, so I just don't know what kind of experience they have as a roster and just in terms of IGLing experience.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to take a short little break here because we are having some difficulties getting the players into the lobby. So if you guys don't mind holding on for us for just one quick second, we'll be back as soon as we have a full lobby for you guys. Alrighty, so welcome back. Thank you for giving us that quick little minute to get everything back and ready to go. We are now moving into round 8. We had both teams take a pseudo little break there to kind of get their mentals straight, get the server right, and get everybody back into the lobby. But we are moving officially into kids' dorms and dorms main hall for this round.
I swear they've been switching back and forth between basement and this site. I can't tell which one they're going to, but it seems they're sticking to kids this time. But we did see them try to hold the site down last time before we went to the break, and just unfortunately, just looked like they just could not hold back the attack of MystiC. Just playing a little bit too passively, in my opinion. That's just their general game plan, but just that doesn't always come back and just really help you out. Stalling out is really good, but if you can't get any kills on the board, that's just not going to help do you any favors in the end. So it's just going to be a matter of can they hold them back and also get some kills on the board this time around, Blaze.
Now, I'd like to see Alpha 1 actually play the game kind of in the fashion that we saw MystiC Academy do. Now, MystiC didn't have as much success with this, but I feel like Alpha really could do well with it, being that they're a slower playing team. Now, if they send just a couple players out, do that extended turtle where you have maybe 1 or 2 players just kind of hanging on the outskirts of site, get those early picks, and then rotate back to site and just do a true turtle situation, because then you're going to force MystiC Academy to get very aggressive late in the round. And when you're throwing aggression out with literal like less than a minute on the board, you kind of get brain frazzled. But Silly finally lighting things up and getting Spider off the board, I believe that was a cheeky spawn peek potential.
Yeah, not sure where he got that kill from. It looks like he was just spraying through the dining wall there, potentially, as he is reinforcing that kitchen wall, as Lackey's still looking to try to get a drone and possibly get someone off guard. As MystiC is just kind of going for another spread push here, just kind of spreading all different kinds of the map right now, as we see 2 over on master side and 2 still over on small side. Just going to be trying to deal with Lackey and Silly over here, as Silly finally getting his second kill in the game right now. I only see 1 on the board right now, but that was because of the rehost. But finally, seeing him kind of come up back on the board here is really good to see for Alpha 1.
Honestly, I think they probably heard me and started playing exactly with what I was talking about. Sending Silly out, kind of doing that extension and getting that early kill on the board. That is perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And it looks like Silly is wanting to potentially get active once again, taking out some cams, doing some work. It potentially might get into a little bit of an engagement with Aimkey, but once again, just not knowing where Aimkey is and rotating out. So Aimkey's already ready to go, kind of setting up, looking for this push. As I want to say they're probably, Scoobert and him are probably communicating back and forth, as Aimkey's going to take down Memories, but Big Guy's going to go down to the hands of Silly, and Lackey right behind, ready to light things up.
Just unfortunately, intel on the board for MystiC right now is just not really doing them any favors. Aimkey had pushed all the way up to white without actually clearing out white or security area, and just let Lackey actually just flank up onto him, and they have information on Kirk at the moment. Actually, I believe that's Scuba, as Kirk is trying to move down to Z Hall over here, try to take care of Silly, who has just been looking so much better in this round. And it's just going to be a matter of can he clear him out and just give Scuba a little bit more room to work with.
Oh, what is Silly doing here? Come on, Silly. You know you can get this kill. But no, alas, our cams come off what potential action we may have had. Kirk's gonna go down, gets confirmed by Silly, so that engagement just went south for MystiC Academy as Silly gets his 3K on the board. Scoobert all by his lonesome. The Soul Hard Breach goes down to the hands of Alpha 1, as Alpha 1 is ready to end this as soon as they can, because I think they're ready to get on to Villa.
Good equalizing round there for Alpha 1, just kind of doing what you said, just getting a little bit more active in the round, not looking to play super passively, just making sure that MystiC has to actually deal with them rather than just playing passive and just saying, we're just going to sit back and just kind of let you do whatever you want. Now, no, they're playing to get in your face right now. It's silly, just picked up 3 big kills for that round.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to kind of play a couple rounds out and really take the loss in some areas in order to really figure out what you need to do differently to bring it back. And that's the beauty that we've been seeing out of Alpha 1 all season so far. We've seen them be able to really, take those round losses and bring it back in their favor by doing exactly the perfect thing, I guess you could say, in order to counter their opponents. Now, MystiC Academy, what they're going to have to do here in order to counter Alpha 1 is Alpha 1's going to send these players out to try and get these extended, little flank takes. What MystiC needs to do is potentially a rush. And I'm saying that as I see a potential blitz go on the board. And if you don't play this correctly, you have to play this in perfect unison. We're probably going to see them start pushing construction and just rush right in the building. If they do that, that is extremely predictable and very dangerous.
It does seem that that's kind of what they're going for, as we do see Blitz and Lion on the board, just going to make sure they're just sneaking right on up. They'd have no idea just yet. Alpha 1, it's going to be a big explosive rush in.
Oh no, I felt like watching Jaws there, as we're going to see everybody just go in. They haven't seen a single player or gotten to a single engagement until right now, as Big Guy is going to take down Silly. Things are going to start going crazy as the smoke canister's already coming out. Big Guy doing some work, takes down Celerak, but is met by the bullets of Lackey. Things have gone so fast, so quickly. But we're going to see things potentially slow down here, as we definitely want to get all these smoke canisters off the board.
Big Guy able to get another big kill, and Scoober ADSing with the Blitz right now is able to get another kill. And it's just Cellrack and Memories and Lackey right now are just all pinched out on spawn site. And Lackey's trying to take care of that Blitz, but unfortunately just misses all his shots essentially. And Memories just kind of getting flamed off, and just they all have the information on him. They know where he's at. And Kirk just letting them know that that was a very silly round indeed.
I don't think Silly felt like that was a very silly round. I'm pretty sure he was not.
I don't think he did. I don't think he found that amusing at all.
No, but that's exactly what we needed to see come out of MystiC Academy, that rush, because essentially what Alpha 1 does is they kind of hunkered down on site and really pulled back to the areas that they thought MystiC Academy was going to be pushing. So those freezer stairs, those main stairs, that's where their focus was on. But with that push, I have to say it was a little bit hilarious to watch, because you see 5 players essentially crouch walking immediately into his sight, and Alpha 1's nowhere to be found. Like, that never happened.
They had no idea that rush was about to come out there, is because everyone was just crouch walking up. You can't get that normal audio cue, especially from the shield of Blitz, just because he's rattling that thing around as soon as he starts sprinting anywhere. It's obvious where he's going. But we are going to see Kirk going onto the Amaru, just indicating that they're still looking to take some ground fast. Probably not nearly as fast as we saw in that previous round, but probably looking to go up into that tier 3 area, making sure he can cut off that attic rotate potentially, and just making sure they take top floor control super quickly.
I have seen somebody do that exact same play, and it did not go in their favor, because there is a very good potential, if Alpha 1 has done their homework, they might put somebody up there in T2, so the moment that the yeet happens, the yeet gets stopped. But we'll have to see how Alpha 1 wants to play this out. I think they're a little bit more leery that a potential rush might come out here again, as we do see a little bit more focus put on that construction side of things. But Kirk does get in the building, swift fasted in a hurry, but not met with any aggression from Alpha 1.
No, but the rest of MystiC is looking to take top floor control and just clear out Kitchen as fast as they can. They're not looking to waste too much time trying to clear out these roamers or just some of these players roaming around the map. Just really good pace coming out from them, as Silly is just kind of having to fall back. They know where he is at, so they're just going to have to fall back, not play it a little too aggressive. But really, right now, MystiC is looking to keep that momentum going from that previous round and just make sure that Alpha 1 is having to play off their momentum right now.
And honestly, the more you can control just the push or the attack, or really even the defense, the more you can really dictate the play here. But we have a whole half of the round just gone. Nobody's been killed just yet. We do see Silly just hanging here on those back stairs, hoping he can meet somebody in the face with that beautiful C4, but I'm not quite sure he's got the intel for it just yet. But Spider is ready to start pushing down that way, but I think Silly's probably going to back off of that once the proper intel is given to MystiC Academy with those drones coming out.
He's still just kind of sitting over in Harry Potter area, just shooting as many drones as he can, just denying MystiC as much intel as they can. They're down to 2 drones actually out on the board right now. He's doing so much to actually just waste so much time on these back stairs, just not really able to do anything. Unfortunate disconnect coming out from Kirk. That's just going to be so much pressure gone. But it looks like they're just going to drop down Ebot's hat and just try to get some of that momentum back, and essentially equalizing man count again.
I'm telling you, Silly was just too hyper focused on those stairs. So that was a perfect opportunity gained by MystiC Academy. They're going to have to switch things up and go into that more pseudo kind of rush situation, as you have all of the players from MystiC Academy essentially on the same side of things. We do have that battle going back and forth between Lackey and Inky. Inky going down, and Lackey's following it up with a beautiful kill onto Scoobert, but Spider's not ready to give up just yet. Remember, Case is officially down, so MystiC Academy have to either kill or get this plant down. But Spider is looking for blood, as the big guy does answer my call for that Case, and it looks like, no! Oh, so close! MystiC Academy almost had it, but Alpha 1 met that perfect aggression and a perfectly timed C4 on the doorway, taking big guy out and giving round 10 over to Alpha 1.
Just letting Lackey push up that elbow hall area, just unfortunate because he was able to get two big kills on that board. Just had to essentially make MystiC kind of look over in his direction, couldn't focus on actually going for that actual execute, and just an unfortunate disconnect coming out from Kirk. I think really put a damper in Mystic's attack because they had to quickly regain some of that pressure back just onto Silly there, but we're just not able to convert back onto it. So it's just really you hate to see it because that's not how you want to lose a round. Essentially, it's not something that's just like, oh, he died because somebody shot him. No, it's just because internet or just games being dumb.
I have to say though, that C4, like that C4 being the round ending situation, that is, ooh, that's always fun because I, I've always sucked with C4s. It doesn't matter what game it is.
Skill
If
issue.
you're not, if you're not timing that out properly and like having the confidence in what you're doing, you're probably going to fail 90% of the time. But round 11 does start. We are evenly matched up 5-5 against both teams. We are potentially going to see a operator I don't think we've seen at all this season. Grimm's coming to the board. How do you feel about that?
I have some words. if if anybody in the audience knows like the YouTuber Gregor, he will have essentially the same thoughts that I do. He is not very good. Essentially, you can get a lot of better operators or just drones do his job a lot better than he does himself. He's just not a good op because you have to face check with the gadget and usually get shot in the face as soon as you try to do it. But we'll see what MystiC tries to do with him, is it could just be used to try to just distract Alpha 1 and make sure they go for this another rush again so far, as they are looking to explode into kids right now.
You know what? Since it is a rush, it might be smart. We do have 3 kills coming back to back to back as big guy is ready to go ahead and get this plant in and confirmed. So plant is good to go. We do have 5 players ready to just go ahead and just hold their angles and do their job. Silly's gonna take down Spider, but it looks like poor situation for Scoobert, but things are going to go back and forth here. We all know there's 28 seconds here left on the clock. Things are going to have to heat up. Lackey does have the perfect potential here in order to do what he needs to do and get that diffuser completely deactivated. But I will say, with those annoying bees, I kind of understand why they went and did this for a rush situation, because it creates such an annoyance. And it's kind of hard to really do what you need to do. But having the player big guy outside, like, unfortunately Lackey's just gonna have to run around like a chicken with his head cut off, but almost unable to do anything, as I have to say that was kind of cheeky, bringing the Amaru and jumping out and being prepared to jump back in and get that kill. That was actually really cheeky. Really
It's something we've seen them do before, though. It's just like that's a typical like kind of rush attempt coming out from MystiC. There is you bring the Amaru to kind of distraction, just all of a sudden, oh, she's just in, and just is able to basically explode into the bomb site. But it's just like you were saying before, Grim was just essentially used for after the plant went down, making sure that if they had to swing into the bees, they knew exactly where they were, because that thing is going to live track you or essentially work as jackal pings as soon as they step away from it. So really good use, and I think that's the only good use I think you can really think of when he's brought out. But like again, I like a little bit of change to just the normal rush take, just kind of like it's the same but a little different. Just make a little add extra spice, as I would like to say.
I mean, I really like the fact that Big Guy even used the Amaro like in the round ending as well, being able to just yeet outside. And then the moment that any type of diffuse attempt was made, he could literally just yeet back in and just deny it. Like that was beautiful. But we are going to see MystiC Academy officially on match point. They are still here on attack, and hopefully they get to repeat the beautiful situation we saw on the previous round. Spider is bringing out the Amaru once again. Aim key on the hard breach. I did notice though, we do have MystiC Academy swapping between those carrier holders, and it, kind of mixing it up, so you never really know who's got it, unless obviously you have our point of view.
It's just a bit of an interesting take because it looks like they're trying to go for a master big window clear, but also go for the normal, like big tower clear for this bomb site, especially with an Osa on the board. I'm just curious as to what the usage here coming out of Scoobert is. Just like you don't typically see Osa pushing this part of the map and on this bomb site. It's just like another slow clear coming out from them. It's just like if, after two very fast rounds coming out from them, is this the answer? I'm just not sure yet.
Well, actually, it might be the answer because it is creating a little bit of confusion. If you think about it, if they don't know exactly what's going on in the heads of MystiC Academy, they can't really counter it. So having the Osa on that double window does more damage than you think because they have a clear line of sight directly, really far into sight, like almost all the way into what? I think we call it like wolf, or we're, you guys know what I'm talking about, but it has that long angle and able to like predict those player movements. So that does help quite a bit. The only problem is this strategy going to slow MystiC down? And I think it will.
It's already a minute 30 off the board here as we're going into the final minute of the round of now round number 12. If they don't win this, it's going to go to overtime. And they're just wasting a lot of time trying to clear out some of this utility coming out from Alpha 1. And just really, really slow take here as they're still having to deal with one player in kids and potentially one on white here as Lackey is still trying to maintain this defensive stronghold with the assist of Silly on these stairs. They're not able to clear him out, and Big Guy finally gets the kill onto him, but they still have to deal with Silly as he's just going to retreat.
Yeah, Silly's doing what Silly does best and meets the aggression in the most appropriate way. Big Guy does take a little bit of damage here as he's trying to get some utility here off the board. Angel as well. But Spider looks like he is out for blood. Not quite sure what he wants to do on that hatch, but they're going to have to beware of the evil Spider as Spider was lighting up the board a little bit earlier. Now, Big Guy, still, he's actually the carrier now, which is really weird, but Silly still lighting up the board, taking down Kirk. That's going to be your flank operator. Hopefully all of those, that utility was used properly. Now Big Guy's going to go ahead and attempt to get this plant down in kitchen. A very precarious situation as Silly is still lighting things up, gets a triple kill. Scuba does deny him the quad kill though by taking his head right off. Diffuser has officially been planted. Memories does go down once again to the hands of Scuba. 2v2 situation here. 30 seconds here left on the clock. A lot can happen fairly quickly here. It just depends on who's going to run into whose bullets. Aim Key and Scoobert have perfect angles. Anybody who runs in, Angel not even paying attention to his flank, goes down to Aim Key, and it's all left to Selrak. Little to no time here on the board for him to do anything. He's just going to have to essentially give this round over to MystiC Academy as MystiC Academy is ready to call Oregon theirs.
Just unfortunately just ran out of time. Just that flank not coming out fast enough, and just really close game on Oregon so far between these two teams. A lot closer than the last matchup we saw out of them. Just it's going to be really interesting to see how they finally go into Villa now. Is it going to be the same similar story, or is it just going to be again MystiC Academy just taking away like they did last time? I believe winning it 7-2.
I mean, who knows? It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams match up, especially with what we just watched. We did see a lot of things that we were fearing both of these teams doing, such as wasting too much time or really just not committing to any type of push until a little too late in the round. But I do feel like MystiC Academy is going to have the ability to bring this back and take the information they learned and the momentum from winning this first map and moving into Villa with that mentality. But on the side of Alpha 1, I don't want to count them out just yet because they did hold a pretty steady lead there for quite a while.
They did, and they're certainly looking to try to come back once again in this series like they did against Mystic Academy. They're not looking to go out just yet. But with that being said, we're going to go to a quick break and then we'll bring you back into Villa.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you for taking that quick little break with us. I am Phoenix Blaze, and I am joined here with Sirius. We're about to move into Villa, the Italian countryside. I am excited to see what these teams are going to do here, and lay some analytics on us, Sirius. Let us know what we potentially are going to be expecting here.
Oh boy. Well, we did see them play this map last time they went against each other, and Mystic Academy won it 7-3. And Alpha One have a round win percentage of 40.63%, while Mystic ACAD have a 55.93% win rate. So I would say just going into this, just looking at the statistics right now, it's going to be looking towards like edging out Mystic's area, as we did see them kind of win out a very close game on Oregon. I'm just wondering if that's going to be a similar case here.
I mean, potentially, because remember, this is Mystic Academy's pick. So we are going to the most comfortable place that Mystic would want to be for a map, too. So if they are smart, they're going to play this to their advantage and they're going to potentially do a landslide situation. But I don't think Alpha One's ready to give up a fight just yet. There's so many VODs out here of Mystic Academy playing Villa. So we'll have to see what is going to be in store for Alpha One.
Now, if we go off of previous history, they banned out Hibana Valk Nook Mira as last matchup. So we're gonna see if they go for a very similar bans coming out here, or if they're gonna spice things up a bit, mix things up, make sure it's gonna be kind of a little bit different. But we are gonna see Nook coming off the board once more. Again, kind of good operator that just kind of just she's good at everything. She can just good fragger, she's good lurker, she's just good at everything. She has nades. That's
I
to
mean,
be expected.
she's kind of terrifying too if you don't know she's coming. But there is the Habana ban, the one that you were predicting from previous matchups, so not a big surprise there. So moving on to these defensive bans, probably going to see potentially a Mira come out on the board because a lot of great angles can be held by that Black Mira. This is kind of a map that was made for her, but also the Valkyrie, very typical situation with her. I will say, out of all the maps on the board, at least from my experience, Villa is one of the most deadly ones that you have to worry about when it comes to Valkyrie.
Mira, 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 Mira.
Mira.
It's almost like I predicted this. It's almost like they did the exact same bands. I wonder if it's a trend.
I mean, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just kind of know your opponent and you know exactly what needs to be banned. Um, Usually you kind of go with the tried and trues, or you could just be that team that just does meta bans, but not tonight.
Definitely does seem a little bit more meta bands. As Hibana is not a really bad band to come off the board here. It's just good to get rid of some of that long range hard breach potential, but we are going to see an ace just kind of there to replace her, but it's going to be very limited because Hibana can open up a lot of things, but ace only has 3 charges and only very limited in ways he can use them. So it's just going to be a matter of, can the defense be able to just deny his entry into bomb sites using impact grenades or just generally shooting them off the board? And oh
Oh.
no.
So it looks like we have a potential rehost coming right out of the gate before we even start things up. Unfortunate situation. So what we're going to do, instead of sparing you having to deal with us, we're going to go ahead and immediately send this out to a break so we can get all the players back in the lobby and we'll just jump right back into the game. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
We are back on the Italian plains as we're going to be going into round number one. Hopefully, no more issues this time, as we should just be able to get sail through this series. And it's just very predictable bands coming off the board here, and we're just going to probably see another typical Villa game coming out here. Not looking to be too surprised by seeing what these teams bring out, but I'm interested to see what thoughts you have on this Blaze.
Well, I will have to say, I think Mystic Academy has a little bit of an edge on here just because this is one of their stronger maps, so we do tend to see them pull out of their repertoire. Now, the only thing we have to also worry about is Alpha 1 has experienced Mystic Academy on this particular map, and they know what needs to be fixed. However, did they actually do their homework? Because that is the question of the night, because most of these teams that have matched up against each other, if you're not sitting down doing your VOD review, restratting, and trying to figure things out, you can fall victim to statistics and really, just kind of fail at things. But I think Alpha 1's been putting up quite a bit of a fight tonight, so I don't think we'll be disappointed.
A lot better fight than their previous matchup, and for sure, but they are still sticking to general trends so far in terms of their map bans, not really mixing things up in that department, but we'll see if they mix things up in terms of their defensive holds. So it's just going to be a matter of can they repel MystiC, as they just seem to be, looks like going for a study side overtake, as Big Guy's probably going to be getting onto 90 repel, making sure he can cut off anyone in that area of the map.
I mean, makes sense. Perfect opportunity here for Big Guy, especially on the buck, to go in, potentially get some, what I like to call reverse verticals, where he goes in and takes that skeleton key, opens up some of the areas from the below, but it looks like we may have an early engagement here from Kirk and Angel. Angel trying to just slowly peek out of sight and potentially pop somebody in that hallway, but I don't think he's quite ready for it, because Spider is going to be the one who gets the kill, who is ready for that quick little rotate from Angel. So unfortunate for Angel. But Angel, if I'm not mistaken, is an IGL. I don't know if he's an IGL for this team, but if your IGL goes down first, that's kind of a benefit to you, because they can communicate with you and solely focus on what they need the team to do.
And this roam game is not entirely done, but it does seem that those Alpha 1 players are starting to fall back closer to site, possibly just going for below plays closer to this bomb site, as Anki is just going to be looking to open up this wall now, as he's going to have to contest against Memories and Cellwreck in the actual bomb site, trying to look to see if they can clear him out and make sure that he cannot open up these walls as easily, but Memories dies to a Claymore, unfortunately, and Spider picks up a double kill on this round so far. It's already looking really bad for Alpha 1, as Cellwreck and Silly are going to have to go big right now if they want to clutch this round out.
Oh, that is your Azami off the board, but luckily Silly had a perfectly placed C4, takes out Big Guy, but Big Guy's not the one you have to be worried about with Scoobert on the board, ready to confirm this plant. It is successfully going to go down, making things ever so more sporadic for the side of Alpha 1. We do have Cellrack taking down Aim Key, but Spider's ready to go ahead and get that triple kill onto Cellrack. It's all going to come down to Silly staying alive, but MystiC just had perfect cross angles there, was able to round off that first round with a win.
Really good information coming off the board there from MystiC. It just seems they had a really good idea of where all those players of Alpha 1 were, and they were just not really caught off guard until like that clutch opportunity was trying to come out from Alpha 1. Just able to lock things down really well. They shut down the roam game, they shut down any sort of aggression that was coming out from them, especially just like unfortunately for Alpha 1 right now, it's just you're trying to get aggressive, but unfortunately they're just shut down. So now you have to reevaluate: do you play more aggressive or you play more passively as a result?
Honestly, passiveness may not be the answer for Alpha 1, just because with a map specifically like Villa, having so many really long angles that can be held, especially in the area of 90. Some of these sites even have really long angles. It could really just come down to having that the roam game really on point. I know it's a little bit harder to roam on Villa, specifically because of the point that I just made, but if you can have somebody strategically placed a little bit off site, and potentially, especially on defense here, bring in a Vigil. That would help so much if you have the right player on it, because you could get some real sneaky kills on those stairways.
Baki really struggling to place down that shield onto the game's like little area. Unfortunately, that shield is also debating my existence, so I feel you there, buddy. But it does seem that MystiC is looking to try to get aggressive once again onto the steady part of the map, looking to kind of go for a similar idea here, as they're just going to be going from down below, possibly going to try to clear that main stairs player in just a second of Cell Rack. It's just going to be a matter of, can he clear him out quickly, and can these roamers of Alpha 1 rotate and try to alleviate some of that pressure coming onto him?
Whew, these stairs engagements are always the rough ones to watch, because usually the person with the higher ground does tend to have the advantage here. And Selrak just hanging out there with the ADSs, not really having to worry too much about any utility thrown at him. He's just kind of sitting pretty at the moment. But I am so excited to see Big Guy here, though, on the Rotero drones. I know we don't actually have quite of a visual yet, but oh my goodness, Selrak, I'm telling you. Disgusting situation to be in, but Scoobert was ready to confirm that kill. He unfortunately also goes down to Angel. Things are going back and forth here. What? This round is over before we're even ready for it to be over, as Kirk is the last man alive here in a 1v4 situation.
I don't even know how he got that kill onto Anki from down below. I don't know if there's holes there for him, but just unfortunately, this attack is already done for, and it's already half the round gone. Just unfortunately, Kirk is just having to essentially get scraps here. He's able to pick up one, but it's just going to be immediately refragged right afterwards. Just not really good, because that some of those roamers were just able to kind of alleviate some of that pressure onto the main stairs player, and just they had to look two different ways, and just really, unfortunately, just shots were connecting for Alpha 1, and MystiC is now equalized back out in terms of round count.
Holy cow, so much happened in that first half of that round. Everything you could think of happened. Kills, refrags, cheeky little flank situations, everything happened. But like you said, things are evened out here 1-1, and we are going to move into round 3. It does look like we are going to be revisiting one of the sites we've already saw play, but a really cheeky operator being brought out by Memories. The Capcan's going to come out. Hopefully they're going to be able to get some of those Capcan traps onto some of these entryways and potentially do it without MystiC Academy being able to check, because it goes back to that same situation that I talked about on Oregon. If you're not paying attention to everything when you're droning, you're gonna have a bad time.
Speaking of the drones, it just I'm noticing in the top left corner of our screen there, just the drone indicators just slowly counting up one by one. I think all 5 are still on the board, but it's saying that there's only 3. Yep, there's still 5 on the board. That was weird. That's a weird bug in the game. But regardless, yeah, like you were saying, it's just going to come down to those drones just making sure they can spot out those Capcan traps, as I think just Memory is just wanting to make sure they have to slow down their pace in the round, not looking to go super quickly. It's just making sure they have to double check every single doorway, as it does seem they're going a little bit more direct onto the master bomb site right now.
Yeah, and that's honestly, I want to see MystiC start kind of bringing out these rushes again. Not bringing the IQ could be detrimental, obviously, because of the Capcan traps. They are, however, opting to bring in the Twitch, which could be great. It's a really, really cheeky, simple way to get some utility off the board from the side of Alpha. You know, those defensive items like the mute jammer, all that good stuff. If you're playing that right, you can do that well. But the Goyo also being on the board, if you're activating those a little too early, you're going to completely halt any push, and that's unfortunately what Big Guy's having to encounter right now. Spider on that beautiful Flores, probably one of my favorite operators, but our first engagement is going to be Kirk and Lackey, unfortunately killed, as we do see kills ringing out left and right on the board.
Silly is able to get the refrag. Essentially, he's able to pick up 2 as Big Guy gets another one. It's still 3v3 right now. Nobody's actually really favored, but Big Guy is down on low HP. Only a few shots are going to be able to take him out, but they are able to open up that main wall. But Silly's still looking to get very aggressive right now, but gets immediately pre-fired by Anki there. Really nice shot coming out from him, as finally MystiC Academy is back in the advantage. No more Silly to kind of get those refrags on the board, and that may be what determines who wins this round right now, as the Memories is going to be all alone, as the rest of MystiC is going to be pushing back onto bomb site.
Oh, MystiC just honestly brought the aggression when it needed to be brought. Memories being the sole and only person, unfortunately, being the chonky boy that he is, was not able to rotate through quick enough as a beautiful angle was held onto him. So MystiC Academy taking their second round of the evening here on Villa, starting to see the situation that's been tried and true for them. They kind of go down a little bit in the beginning, but then they pick it back up as we move through round to round. So dining and kitchen is next up, and I will tell you, trying to protect kitchen terrifies me.
Yeah, especially if Ace is able to open up that kitchen wall there, it just essentially just cuts the bomb site in half, essentially. And it's just going to be really hard for anybody to actually hold that area of the map. You can still kind of do it from above, but that's typically where the rest of the attack is trying to push in. So this is going to be a bit harder to actually hold on to it if that wall does get open. It's not impossible per se, but does make it a little bit difficult, as you were kind of saying. But Lackey is looking to kind of get some information on the board for himself and the rest of his team with that pulse scanner coming out. Very popular operator on this bomb site, especially. Not popular in terms of meta, but just this bomb site is really good for him because C4s are the name of the game here.
Well, I mean, you're right about that, because bringing out that heartbeat scanner, basically what that's going to do is most teams are going to tend to take this site specifically from a top-down situation. So if you have a good player on the pulse that's kind of hugging onto site, you can get really great intel for your team, stay protected, but at the same time also keep the body up. So I mean, really great idea. Even though, like you said, it's not really in the meta, it still works. It's a tried and true operator that I don't think really is ever going to get old. But I do like aim key though, bringing in the Jackal, being able to use the Inox to their advantage in order to get some early intel with these rotates and where these players are going to be. You don't even have to really scan to get the intel, which is great.
It does seem that Silly nearly got his head picked off there by Kirk on the mud window there, as Anki is looking to try to use this Inox scanner to try to quickly push into Game's area and just kind of clear out red and make sure that nobody from above is actually roaming around too closely to them. Just gonna give himself a lot of space here, as he knows essentially where everybody has stepped in the most recent memory. I think it's up to about a minute that those footprints stay on. So Memories is going to have to make sure he's a bit careful in his positioning, as he's kind of out in the middle of the open over in the master area. As a MystiC is going for a bit slower push here, just kind of going for that horizontal pressure as Aimkey's all alone up top.
The only problem with that slow push, though, is the fact that Alpha 1 knows how to waste quite a bit of time. Kapkan being brought out once again is going to do that. Now, Selrak is taking quite a bit of damage there. That is unfortunate. But we also see Silly popping off one of those Goyo traps as well, trying to slow down the advance from MystiC Academy, as we do see what looks like a three-man push ready to push in and attempt to plant again. Enki takes down Memories. I'm telling you, this Inox tactic works. It works every time. But Angel ready to try and slowly start evening things up as he gets the first kill for Alpha 1.
Not a whole lot of intel on the board for Alpha 1, as they just kind of look to be stuck on the bomb site here. They just have no room to actually maneuver themselves around. They're just kind of stuck trying to hold these angles, as the rest of the MystiC is just cleaning them up. They are just kind of stuck holding these positions. Silly and Selric are just kind of all alone, as Lackey, unfortunate. Oh, what the hell just happened? Oh no, what? Oh no, not like that.
I think we just had a tried and true case of Mystic.exe is not responding. Because it's just that whole round ended in a matter of 2 seconds, because I guess people just weren't either paying attention, or I don't know. Actually, can a Capcan trap actually blow a Goyo canister? Because
Yes, I think that's
I
exactly what
think that's
happened
what
there.
we just watched, because that would make a whole lot of sense. Because one player goes down, not quite out, Goyo canister goes out, takes out another player, which goes down and not out, and then obviously the other one takes enough damage to just, 3 players dead.
I don't think I've ever seen Goyo and Capcan interaction in such a long time. That just typically doesn't ever happen. But so very unfortunate because MystiC were looking to be in the advantage in that round, but are just unfortunately not doing the due diligence of making sure that those doorways are clear is just going to cost them in that round. As now we're back to even essentially. Something that's they're not going to want to be doing. They don't want another back and forth series as we saw in Oregon. They want to get this in a clean fashion, another like 7-2, 7-3, but it's not looking like it's gonna happen right now.
I mean, that last round was just unfortunate. That was just timing. Honestly, actually, I'm not even gonna say timing. That was really just luck. Alpha 1 had a lot of luck with the way that round ended, but I think they're ready to try and do it again because they are bringing the Goyo, they are bringing the Capcan. I do like, obviously, the Azami on the board as well because you're able to move and shake, kind of change the layout of the sites, but I don't think we're going to see a Capcan Goyo interaction like that happen twice. There's absolutely no way. And if it happens again, I am going to be absolutely shocked. But I do like the little mix-up that we see from MystiC Academy by bringing the Gridlock. Gridlock's great to prevent from any of those flank operators like trying to like turn around and sneak up on you, but also bringing out the Nomad, so double flank operator. This could be a little interesting to see how they're going to slow down Alpha 1.
Those roamers were a big problem in that last round, and they're making sure that flank is going to be locked down as they're still just trying to make sure that Selrak cannot actually sit on these stairs. He goes for the same kind of cheeky angle he had last time, but is not able to connect all of his shots. As MystiC is just looking like they're having to deal with so many angles from above. They have no real comfortable room to actually push onto Selrak. They're going to have to be trying to make sure they can clear out some of those players. They don't have any nades on pocket. Silly is going to be looking for a flank, but I think he hears a Nomad charge is going to be running away soon.
Yeah, but they may not have nades, but they do have smokes and flashes, so being able to utility dump is going to be very important here. Spider is going to take down Selrak, so the roaming Jaeger off the board, but Silly is going to take down Aimkey, so that is going to be your flank operator. Hopefully all of those tracks are placed out where they need to be. If not, that is wasted utility. So things are going to come down to the last minute here in the round as things are going to start heating up as Goyo canisters are already being popped. And I do have to say, bringing the smoke this time is a beautiful situation, but Kirk's ready to light things up once again and takes down Lackey.
Unfortunately, just that smoke coming on again, it's just like his memory's just going to be starting swinging out. Alpha 1 just exploding. Not able to actually use any of those smoke canisters as I almost lost my voice there. I'm just shocked at how fast that round ended. It was just looking really slow there. Then all of a sudden, just Alpha 1 just says, you know what, enough of this. We're going to kill you right here and now. We don't want to deal with this anymore. And they just got all those kills to wrap things up there. Just really slowing down the pace of MystiC in that round. And just unfortunately, that double flank operators just did not really help them out too much.
You're right about that because especially if that gridlock went down prematurely before she was able to use all of her tracks, that essentially rendered that whole strategy null and void. But this is where we're gonna have to see what MystiC is going to decide to do because remember the last time we visited Villa with these two teams, it was a 7-3 situation. So statistically, this is where MystiC should be lighting up the board and just doing what they need to do. But I'm telling you, just Alpha's just really meeting that aggression and those tactics where they need to be met and just creating an absolute nuisance for MystiC Academy. So I'm hoping they're going to do something a little bit smarter here. I still think some type of rush is going to be beneficial because when they rushed last time on Oregon, they were able to disrupt those mentals of Alpha 1 and were able to pull ahead a little bit, but it's just going to all come down to really strategy and just where the mentals are.
It's really hard to rush on this particular map. There's just no easy way into the bomb site. They're a little bit locked in the actual map. It's just not an instant go through a window and you're in. They have to actually clear some parts of these maps. It's just not really as easy to do. You have to go for these slow clears. It's just unfortunately that's kind of what MystiC is struggling with. These slow clears. They're not able to clear all these parts of the map, and just when they do let Alpha 1 have enough space, they let them get aggressive, and that's just really what costs them in these particular rounds. And it's just they really need to make sure that Alpha 1 don't get too comfortable once again.
Yeah, comfort is really where Alpha 1 starts to shine. Once those mentals are broken, that's kind of where things start getting a little hairy for them. Because, and when I was referring to a rush, I guess my point was, I really feel like MystiC needs to get in and get prepared to attack site quickly. And then once they have enough players ready to go, then actually rush site to plant. We saw that happen earlier, and it worked fairly well for them. But the only problem is, Alpha 1 has been stalling out MystiC Academy, preventing them from doing this. So this is the last chance that MystiC Academy has to try to really prove themselves as an attacking team before we go into the side swap.
They're looking to kind of group up here, but Silly gets a nice C4 onto Spider. That's going to be the Ash off the board, but thankfully Kirk does still have some utility in pocket. He's going to have to see where he places those nades carefully. Ooh, nearly gets Silly there. He almost got a little too close to that nade, but just unfortunately, MystiC looking to take things slow once again. It's just looking to cost them right now as they're kind of just stalling out over in the bathroom area. Just not able to take a lot of ground, and Alpha 1 just able to use that information and just oh wait, Kirk has actually pushed up all the way over to split doorways. He could actually surge into sight and just here in just a second.
Oh, Ainke getting a nice cheeky headshot onto Silly, and Lacking going down at the hands of Kirk. Oh, that is not fun. Especially when your top fragger comes off the board. Memories is going to swing in and get 2 kills. Immediately drops a player trying to get the diffuser down. So it is a 2v2, actually 2v1 situation now, as Kirk and Big Guy are ready to start holding these cross angles and just getting kills left and right. So it's all down to really the clock at this point. Kirk luckily does have the case in hand. He's going to have to commit to this plant. Big Guy can do what Big Guy does best and try to get a cheeky headshot here onto Angel. Is able to get the kill and gives the half advantage. Actually, no, I don't believe we have a half advantage here. I believe we are 3-3. And things once again repeat what we saw on Oregon. And yeah, really, it's anybody's game.
That was a real tug of war round. Just not really clear who was going to come out on top because Memory is almost able to just shut down that attack into the statue area all by himself. But unfortunately, just the coordination of MystiC there were just able to really push them over the edge. There's the coordination, just able to like get those refrags on the board. Just really meant that they still stayed relatively on top, even if they lost a few bodies along the way. Just really good to see that come off the board, but it was really almost bad as Alpha 1 had almost a few times that they could have really come back in that round, but just able to kind of clean it up and just really messy round, but they're going to take it going and just even things up, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think we do have a potential to see what we saw in Oregon, where things are going to kind of have that tug-of-war effect that you mentioned. But really, it's going to come down to just the mentals in those last critical rounds. Could we potentially see overtime here? I would probably say so, just with the back and forths, but I really like the operator Big Guy brought. I'm gonna be a little Big Guy simp right now, just because Tachanka rarely comes out anymore, and you know he can do some really annoying things.
Our Lord and Savior has blessed us with his presence. He is finally here. But like you mentioned, he's not typically brought out. He's just kind of a lesser version of Smoke. It's just, you kind of have to be very precise with those bounces. Just with his Shamika launcher, and just unfortunately, it's just not a lot of people like take the time to develop that skill. So we'll see if he's actually very useful, as Lackey actually does seem to hear that someone's close by, and he does have a few drones trying to assist him here. But Spider is able to get the down onto him, but he was able, that's essentially a refrag because he was able to get a nice kill on the Scoob.
Oh, I'm telling you, don't prone if you're not ready. Because if you're proning, you're trying to be cheeky and you're trying to make sure that somebody doesn't see you, but that was unfortunate. But no, you have a really great point though with those Shamika launchers. Now, one thing you can do is use it like a Goyo, and speaking like the Goyo, Spider goes down. So every time Sirius and I try to get a point in, both of these teams are just like, all right, casters, shut up. We're going to show you some action here.
You just really cast curse people so often. You should just just not. I don't think these 15s appreciate it very much. It's just kind of just like, stop doing it, please.
You'll experience it at some point.
I've already experienced it. I've just learned to not say things that will provoke that reaction.
It happens.
Certainly does happen as we see a little bit of a lull period in the halfway point of the round, as it just seems that Alpha One is just trying to figure out where they actually want to push up, as it does seem they're starting to rotate over to the astronomy side and just kind of clear out that area of the map, possibly looking to clear out Kirk on the actual game shield, as Anki is just kind of left all alone on the main stairs over here.
Oh, Kirk and Big Guy just trying to do some work for their team. Having a roaming Tachanka is kind of, if you think about it in real terms, having that LMG in your face at any point in time is absolutely terrifying. But we do see kind of like a split situation here as far as the push goes from Alpha One. Angel just kind of doing his thing, trying to hold these vertical angles, but being that case holder, it does make it a little risky because if he does get killed, the case goes down outside. So at that point, the remaining players of Alpha 1 have to commit to kills because rotating and picking that up, you don't have time in 30 seconds. So a lot of things have to happen fairly quickly, and MystiC's doing a great job at holding these players back because these Goyo canisters finally going off, really stalling out any type of push. Dino's finally in the building, does throw out the ace canister, trying to slowly get here into sight, committing to a push, but with 10 seconds, it's almost impossible. Luckily, Memories gets a beautiful kill onto Kirk, making it that much easier. But Aimkey being the last one alive is really, it's all time or kills, and at this point, Celiac just knew, took out Aimkey and gave them a round win.
Really good rotation from that steady bout player, as he was able to like just completely destroy Kirk as he was trying to get aggressive onto the study doorway onto games. That could have been really big if he was left up alive, but unfortunately they were just able to neutralize that crossfire that they were having onto that doorway, and just meant that everybody from MystiC just had to essentially just go for their 1v1 gunfights, and unfortunately we're not able to connect on any of them. So that's we're going to see the first attacking win coming out from Alpha 1 on this side of the board. So not really looking good, because it does seem to indicate that we're going for another close series here, Blaze.
Uh, what did I say? I said possibly going to see some overtime here, and it's just because it proves the point that Alpha 1 may have actually done their homework here, or it could just be the tried and true situation where both teams have substitute players in and they're just kind of balancing each other out. We honestly will never know because we don't know what it sounds like in those voice comms. So round 8 we go. We are going to see a castle come out though from the side of MystiC Academy, looking to potentially slow down Alpha 1 and prevent any type of really more aggressive pushes here onto site. They don't want Alpha 1 to do the same thing that they did to Alpha 1, where once they got into site, they really rushed in there, got the plant down, and just did the damage that they needed to. But Angel, I'm telling you, I know he's the IGL. He has to be the IGL here because every team that I've ever seen or heard Angel on, he does the hard breach IGL. So it's going to come down to really him and his leadership.
Spider shot at his own teammate's mute chamber there. He's just gonna act like that never happened, just never speak of it. Lackey does get the first kill onto Aimkey. Unfortunately, he's just going into the living room super quickly, and I think he just caught him off guard there, unfortunately. Now that's just going to put a lot of pressure on the bottom floor, just gone now, as Lackey's just going to be trying to move up to the main stairs. The rest of MystiC is just going to have to fall back, as Scubert's just going to be all alone, possibly shoot a drone and then fall back. Maybe get a kill here for himself, but he does spray over towards Cellrack. It just misses, unfortunately, possibly hanging around here too long, as they're going to start to clear him out here.
Oh no, Scoobert, back off, please, Scoobert, back off. Oh, luckily gets the kill onto Silly, so that was beautiful, but was followed up immediately by Cellrack. That's what happens when you have multiple players pushing one spot. You're probably going to get refragged. But 2 players off the board. Silly does go down, so things are going to start hopefully evening up between both teams. But we do have Kirk here in the master bedroom, who's going to be having those Kiba barriers, hopefully making some cheeky little angles, protecting himself. We still have Memories outside the building, though, on the 0. Not sure if he's using those cams for burn at this point, or if he's trying to get some intel. I would hope if he's outside, he's trying to get some intel, because those barricaded windows are perfect opportunities for that.
It did see one go out towards the red hallway over there, just trying to make sure that nobody can actually flank those stairways. As he does move his way on up, they're going to be grouping up over onto the red landing area of the map, just making sure that they have a grouped up thing and just making sure they can neutralize these crossfires from Mystic Academy. As we do see one possibly rotating over onto the master balcony. I'm assuming it's actually no, it's memories once again. He's gonna actually go for the solar rotate, just making sure he can lock down anyone over in that part of the map. It's just gonna be good part map control coming out from him. But can he do anything on this map? As Spider gets one kill, but immediately gets naded out.
Oh, that's great teamwork right there. But it's all going to come down to really, oh no, Dino Angel goes down. That is Case. And Selrak luckily is able to pick it up by sledgehammering it? What? But I mean, sometimes what do you call it? The animations just kind of do their own thing. But Memories being the last one on the board, MystiC was ready to take him out. Big guy getting a great little headshot onto the Memories and makes it ever so much more in their favor as we move into round 9 now.
Just unfortunately for Alpha One there, they just kind of slowed down the pace too much and just let MystiC get a little too comfortable, able to hold those crossfires and just kind of neutralize them as they started to rotate around. Just not able to get them out of those positions just very effectively just meant that they could hold those defensive strongholds essentially and just able to get so many nice kills on the board for themselves as they just had to contest all those long angles that we saw from Master all the way onto the actual dining door or I sorry statue doorway from Red Landing. Just really good like from MystiC to stay calm there, not really panic even though they're down so many people. Just really good like coordination as we saw, just kind of them just kind of realizing like working with each other, relying on their IGL to kind of guide them through that.
And that's really where teams can be separated as far as skill and ability. I'm actually going to use Hong Kong Rebels as a good example. They don't even run strats whatsoever. They just kind of play what feels right in, in whatever situation that they're thrown in. But they have a great set of players that communicate with each other. If you're communicating effectively and attacking things correctly, or even really defending things correctly, you can do a lot more damage than some of the most mechanically gifted players out there because they just might rush and do real stupid stuff while, you kind of know what's happening because you know where these players are pushing from. And I think that's really what Mystic Academy has, is they have this great ability to work off each other and trust each other, where it's almost like second nature.
Yeah, and just really good adaptation game coming out from them too, just realizing that they need to do something to kind of step up big, go for those kills essentially in those disadvantaged situations, as they are just going to be kind of having to deal with Silly possibly on a solo lurk over on the kitchen part of the map. He's just kind of lurking his way through. His memories is solo droning him, essentially just guiding him through the bottom part of the map right now. He could get something big and possibly nade someone from below now.
Oh, Silly has been the one who's really been bringing out the big plays too for Alpha One. So I would not doubt it one bit, being the only double digit player on the entire board right now. So anything less than amazing plays out of him, get out of here. But we are going to see MystiC just kind of holding their ground here. A lot of droning coming out from Alpha One, wanting to make sure they have some good intel. It looks like we may have an engagement here, though, on the red stairs. Spider's going to hold his angles as tightly as he can, throws out the C4. Unfortunately, does not get any type of kill. I don't even think he set that thing off.
Not sure. I don't actually hear any game audio, but Enki is able to get the first kill on the Lackey. A little bit of a. I want to say that sounds very similar. A bit of a rhyme scheme there. Could be my next album there. But
No,
able
serious,
to neutralize that. No. Able to neutralize that main stairs player is just silly. Is just going to waste a nade, unfortunately. Just kind of threw that out into the wind. And Inky's still able to lock down this position. He's wasted all his smoke bays and is able to just kind of hold his position for as long as he wants right now. He has the option to rotate out, but he's just going to look to stay there. And it's just rest of Alpha 1 is just kind of looking lost right now in what they want to do.
Oh, lost is what they're going to be now that Silly's here off the board. Quick engagement coming out from a Spider. He's going to take down Selrak, so that's another player off the board. We have a full 5 stack still with Mystic Academy as once again, Kirk is going to come in with the double kill. The 2x situation giving a flawless round over to Mystic Academy. And I just was trying my best to come up with a good joke. Between silly and serious because we have 2 bipolar personalities right now, at least gamer tag wise.
Hmm. Well, my actual gamer tagging game right now is mildly serious, so it's kind of similar there. It's not
But
really polar opposites, but I mean,
but I mean, your
I'm
Twitter
trying.
tag is why so serious.
Yeah, that's true. I need to get away from that. That's very cringe, as the kids would say. It's very
All right,
very.
Grandpa.
Listen, you're older than me. Shut up.
Hey, I can call him like I see him, so I've got more life experience. I can call the old people when I see them. But
And
anyways, we're into round 10. This is MystiC Academy's a potential chance to go on to match point if they win this. I do see Big Guy though out here with a shotgun. He is an absolute terror to deal with when it comes to that being the player on the shotgun. But Aimkey opting to bring the Doc. With the new changes to the Doc, a Doc is a formidable force to go against, especially with Kirk bringing the Rook, providing the withstand to all of his teammates as well. I'm telling you. This could be nasty.
the big burger boys of the French are back. They're finally in the meta again. As they're looking good. As Kirk does get the first kill on the Cell Wreck, that's just going to be a nice headshot onto him. As it looks like him and Scoobert here are just kind of looking to get aggressive over on the main part of the map. It's just like they have no like Alpha One. I don't think have any clue the drone is coming out, but they only spot out Kirk at the moment. They are not going to have any clue that Scoobert's actually here.
Oh, cheeky plays are gonna start coming out here because we have to remember that with the Rook and the Doc situation, you essentially have a your own medic team, literally your own medic team on your side, and you can change the gameplay drastically with just a little HP. But Scoobert is gonna go down, so that is one player off the side from MystiC Academy, evening things up. We have a minute elapsed here into the round, 2 kills on the board, but really no clear and tried idea of how Alpha One's going to push this.
It does seem that they're a little paranoid about where these players of MystiC Academy are, as Aimkey nearly whiffs his shots, but is able to finally connect with the head of Silly there. He's able to stim himself back up to full HP. That thing, as you mentioned, is going to heal you up almost instantaneously. That thing now heals 200 HP, which seems so ridiculous, as Memories misses his shots onto Kirk, and Spider's able to clean him up.
Oh, that was so unfortunate for Alpha One having to deal with a situation like that where you had one perfect opportunity to take a player off the board, but you get flanked. It happens. But we are now into the critical stages where we have to see Alpha One start committing to any type of push here. Lackey being the carrier, he has a work cut out for him because usually Angel's the one who carries the case into sight, but there's 2 players against 4, so it is essentially Angel and Lackey against the world, and we know how that usually ends, and it doesn't usually end very pretty.
It really doesn't, as Dino is now all alone. Diffuser's dropped over by the red stairs, and they seemingly have an idea that he's over here. They're starting to go out to pinch him here. Anki does go down. Dino is able to get 1 kill, boost his stats a bit, but he's immediately taken down by the mute. And that is unfortunately going to put MystiC onto match point here, Blades.
Hey, caster, I'm gonna call that a caster's blessing because I did mention Big Guy in the beginning with a shotgun, not to mess with him, and that was a point proven. Because you don't ever want to go up against somebody who can swing with a shotgun and swing with confidence, because with the spread of a shotgun, if that's not going to kill you, that's going to hurt a lot. But match point it is. We're seeing the same situation potentially from the previous map. Oregon, we had identical situation here. So who's going to take it? The next 3 minutes and 40 seconds is going to tell us.
I mean, MystiC have won the last 3 rounds in Alpha 1. Aside from winning the first attacking round, have just looked kind of like they have no clue what they actually want to take. They're not really pushing together on anything. They're just not able to set up a proper coordinated push at the moment. They're just getting super stalled out by whatever MystiC's throwing their way. And it's not looking good if you're a fan of Alpha 1. This team has looked really good in this series, able to take out a bunch of top prominent teams. What did I just say there? Did I just say prominent?
You just say prominent.
I meant to say prominent teams. They were able to take down the MystiC main roster able to make Academy essentially turn into the main roster, but just unfortunately, they're just looking a little like they've stalled out here, Blaze. They have no real momentum going for them. It's gonna have to come here and now.
You guys don't mind serious. He had a lag spike more serious than our freaking Rainbow Six servers.
I speak
See?
English good.
Oh, I wish we could queue up one of those TikTok videos where somebody explains how lag works. If you haven't seen them, seriously, like hit me up, go in my DMs, I'll send one to you. It's absolutely hilarious. But we are looking to see what Alpha One's going to do here because we do see MystiC Academy kind of setting the stage for their playing grounds. Kirk bringing out the Kiva barriers, not paying attention as he's rotating, gets killed by Lackey, but Enki was ready to meet Lackey's bullets with their own and taking two really critical players off the board fairly early.
Unfortunately for Lackey there, he just had no actual support as he just kind of pushed up aggressively on his own, able to get a nice kill onto the retreating Kirk player, but just unfortunately for him, the rest of MystiC were there to help support him as they just get nice refrag going on the board here as Anki is just going to look to retreat. But unfortunately, Alpha One, this is not what you're wanting right now. You don't want to close back and forth round here as Scooper gets a nice kill onto the vault player, misses his shots onto Silly, but it's a 2v2 with man health advantage essentially in the favor of MystiC right now.
Well, don't forget, it's also time advantage as well, as we're going to see Silly go ahead and get into another matchup between him and another player, but that player's going to rotate and hopefully save his life. They know, MystiC knows that time is on their side, and all they have to do is stay up. Aim Key and Big Guy kind of bringing it back and really, kind of starting to play off each other here as each one of them is going to hold each side of the sites. Silly looking to get into an engagement once again, but I don't think this is a smart decision for MystiC to be peeking like this. And it's like Aimkey heard me as they slowly started to, kind of pull back a little bit. 46 seconds left in the round. This is the 46 seconds that could determine everything here.
It really could, as they're just starting to kind of group up over on the landing area. MystiC are a little bit far apart, but they can still support each other if they really choose to. They still have long angles apart from Anki here. He can watch the trophy doorway as it does look like they're about to surge on into the trophy, try to kill up Big Guy here.
Oh, things are going to be lighting up here as we're going to have a back and forth. And it does look like MystiC Academy is going to get the final kill on to Alpha 1, giving us a 2-0 for the night. Oregon and Villa in the favor of MystiC Academy, and then bringing that formidable force and proving statistics right tonight.
Just unfortunately, they did look a little bit better than they did in their previous matchup, able to win one more round, but that's just going to not be enough as they just look so good on their defenses there. Just unfortunately for Alpha 1, they're now gone. They're completely out of XGS Season 4, and MystiC is going to be able to move on to, I believe, playoffs now.
Yeah, no, MystiC really has a beautiful story that we've seen so far this season. Being in second qualifiers, immediately going 2 rounds completely forfeited because they were participating in Solar Flare, being able to be one of the top teams in the series so far, and just really outshining even their now ex main roster. So I'm really excited to see what this team is going to be doing moving forward as they're definitely a formidable force to go against.
They're definitely looking really good. I believe the last team they lost against was pretty much against Homeland, or no, sorry, HK Rebels. I'm sorry, I got that
Mhm.
backwards. But they still look really good. Even then, it's just like they're looking really good going into playoffs right now. But that is going to be it for us. I don't know when our next matchup is going to be, but stick around for those as we're still looking to determine who's going to be going to playoffs and who's going to be eliminated soon.
Yep, and we will catch you guys later in the week. Have a good night.